Hey, I'm Willy James, and this is the Gallatin Underground.
Sorry, my darling, I'm afraid I've gone crazy. I am fairly certain I've gone insane. Been running with the devil and the reasons to blame. Sorry, my darling, I'm afraid I've gone insane. Losing strength, losing sleep, losing hope with these tears I weep. Why is tomorrow the brighter day? Sick and tired of this bed I made. Sick and tired of this bed I made. Seems I only know how to do it the hard way. Best of intentions end up wrong. Whiskey helps numb the heartache of the rocky road I am on. Losing strength, losing sleep, losing hope with these tears I weep. Why is tomorrow a brighter day? Sick and tired of this bed I made. Sick and tired of this bed I made. Misery has kept my company, and we have been comparing scars. Have to recall they're just reminders of who we were, not who we are. Losing strength, losing sleep, losing hope with these tears I weep. Why is tomorrow a brighter day? Sick and tired of this bed I made. Sick and tired of this bed I made. Sorry, my darling, I'm afraid I've gone crazy. All right.
Awesome. My name's Vince, runs the Gallatin Underground show here with my co-host.
Aaron Redfire, what's up?
And today we're here with Willy James. So, Willy, how are you doing today?
Great, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well,
Look forward to this.
we always love having all sorts of artists in. So, what are you playing out of there?
As far as gear,
Yeah, what do you got for gear?
so this is a Rosewarn. Guy in Bozeman does these, and they start as a Squire, and then he upgrades it, like with a fender neck, and then he relics it. And so I love this guitar. As far as like, that's just going straight into a TC Helicon Voice Live 3.
Cool.
And I've condensed it all down to that just so that I can basically grab this, throw this on my back, and I'm, pretty much set to go anywhere. So
Almost basically just fits in your guitar bag.
yeah, it does, so it
Super
makes
awesome.
I'm lazy,
I mean, there's something to be said about like a fully portable system,
Yeah.
I should definitely take up some of that advice. I pack too much gear around for my shows.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to talk about how much gear I have. This is what I have here.
Oh, you actually have quite the collection of gear? Or?
Oh man, I have so we had a studio, and when my partner kind of, he was like 60 years old, right? Like he was in radio for years, and when he decided he wanted to get out of it, I was like, oh, I'll take that. So a lot of it, it's like it just sits there because I don't use it, but
Yeah.
but when I'm playing live and stuff, it's like the least I can, get the best quality, I'm going to do that.
Perfect. That's awesome. So how long have you been playing music?
So June, it'll be 23 years.
Damn.
And I actually started in Livingston. I bought my first guitar from Pomida in Livingston. It was a Mark II, acoustic. Action was like this far off of the. Masterpiece.
That's so funny.
My grandpa told me that like you start off with an acoustic because then it builds up your finger strength. So like that extra like having like a guitar that has like the action like way messed up where it's like super high, right. Just like makes you a better guitarist. I think.
Yeah, and I was left-handed, so like this was the first thing I ever learned to do right-handed. So like it was, you know, a pain,
huge challenge.
You know, I was like, whoa. Like, I mean, not that it's ever easy to learn an instrument like in the beginning, you know.
Sure, but you just add one extra factor to it, and yeah, that's crazy. So most of your songs are kind of singer-songwriter, or do you kind of cross genres? Or?
Yeah, I write. So one of my favorite quotes is Waylon Jennings said once. He says, "I never set out to do anything but good music." So like, I've written songs in, you know, like my brothers are like metalheads, so like I've written like thrash metal, and then I've written, you know, more like outlaw country is definitely my wheelhouse. You know, like if
Sure.
but then like I'm a sucker for the blues, so like I have quite a few, you know, blues rock tunes and stuff. But as far as what I've been releasing the last few years, it's definitely been more of the lyrically driven, you know, music that's somewhere on the edge of, you know, like the whatever the hell country is now, and you know, like Americana, whatever you.
Sure.
But.
So as far as like playing out, what are some of your favorite places to play around town or in the area?
Well, to be honest, man, so like I used to live in Bozeman about 10 years ago, and you know, I'd go to the Hofbrau a lot. I love, you know, I just love those small, and my band, actually, we played the Filling Station quite a while ago, and we played it like right as the something was going on with the liquor license and stuff, so it was kind of, I don't remember exactly what was going on, but
you played before they lost their liquor license?
It was right like as they did it, so like it was you know, it was a flop by far, but and then like my band, we got to play Rockin' the Rivers and stuff, you know, too, when I was going at it and stuff. But it's funny, obviously lately, you know, you don't play out as much, but I play in, you know, Dillon, which is, you know, tiny, and it's fun because like
love Dillon, Montana.
I really love playing like as much as I love playing in Bozeman or, you know, Missoula or like these bigger places, like it's really fun to like, I'll go to Twin Bridges, you know, and it's tiny, and like, man, you get a better turnout, and like the quality of like appreciation towards your music is like better just because like they don't get it, you know. So it's like I find myself a lot of times trying to play places that don't necessarily host live music all the time because it's more of like a treat. And, you know.
Yeah. And you get like a more intimate like sort of audience that way.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's like the difference between going and playing, you know, a 4-hour like cover set, you know, to you play Skinnerd for the millionth time, you know, and like everyone's having a good time, and that's great. I love that. Don't get me wrong, but like playing like I love breweries and, you know, like distilleries and stuff like that, where it's more of a listening room kind of scenario, you know. But I love, you know, it took me 10 years of playing before I ever like played out live. I was like, the main reason I play music is because I create it, you know, and like.
So, you write it for yourself. And
exactly. And then, I mean, and it's changed over the years. Like, I've had some really cool opportunities with writing and stuff. Like, I've written songs for people, like, not, like, as far as, like, another artist recording it, but just literally someone that's like, hey, man, would you write a song for me? Like, about me, or, like, you know, or this scenario? And it's really fun to do that, you know? Like, if I didn't write music, I would have never, you know, been 23 years into it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives you, that's the drive for continuing to write music. It's not so much the fame or the fortune or anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've heard that you've written about, like, around 600 songs. Is that true?
Yeah, to be honest, I was writing songs before I knew how to play guitar. I wrote my first song in 3rd grade. Music was such a cornerstone of my childhood. Like, my dad's side of the family's all from North Carolina and Tennessee and Kentucky. So, like, we'd go down south, and, like, after you ate dinner, instead of, like, going and, like, you know, watching TV or watching the ball game or something, we'd go sit, and my uncles and aunts and cousins would all sit and play, you know, and, like, I just, it was something that my dad was a poet, not, like, published or anything, but just wrote a lot. So I just kind of inherited that, you know, and the first song I ever learned on guitar was one I wrote. And it was like, I'd learned riffs before that, but I'd never learned a full song. And I learned 3 chords, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to, you know, write a song. And I wrote it, and of course it was horrible. Like, but yeah, it's, I write every day, you know, and I quit counting probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I used to number them, you know, and like, and the last one that was numbered was at like 623, I think, or something like that.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You know? And like, and it's like, a lot of those sometimes, you know, they can just sit and I don't play them for years. And I'm like, I don't really relate with that anymore, you know, like I don't dig that anymore.
Sure.
And then like I'll find a piece of it and I'll steal it and like throw it into, you know, a different
song
more
you know, relevant to you at the time.
Do you ever find that, like, since you've written so much material, like, you probably recorded a lot of it as well. So, like, since you've written so much, like, you ever run into the scenario where you, like, listen back and you're, like, surprised that you wrote a song? Like, oh, I wrote this? Like,
yeah. Yeah, man.
So great.
It's so funny because, like, I primarily, like, I can count on my hands how many times I've co-written. Like, when I had the band, I had one other lyricist in the band, and he was famous for he'd start a song and never finish it. So, like, I kind of got this thing where, like, any of the songs I've co-written, it's usually they started it and then I finish it for him. And, like, there's some of those songs that, with my band, you know, we got pretty out there with, like, a lot more music, you know, oriented. Like, my songs are, that I write now, musically, are pretty simple. Because I just have really embraced more of my poetic side than, you know, I mean, but with the band, it was one of those that I'll listen to some of those and I'm like, I wrote that, you know, because it's like, man, that's nothing like
anything
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
You know? But,
you love to see it.
Yeah. It's, I think diversity, is key to like growth in any kind of, creativity, you know, like, I think going out of your comfort zone, you know, obviously pushes you to a different perspective. Even if you don't even apply it, like, at that moment, you know, it's in there at some point. You're like, oh, I could do, you know, this blues tune instead of John Prine, you know, or like, you know, that kind of esque, like. But
well, speaking of tunes, let's hear another one of yours.
Yeah, man. Since I was talking about the blues, I'll do one that I wrote in Dylan. This is called Past Emotions.
It's 4:20 in the morning. Now I'm lying awake in my head, reminiscing with the best emotions that I left for dead. And I feel look so solitary. Luckily, loneliness needs a friend. You took on misery's company, 'cause I won't pass your way again. And when I first met you, misery was in my veins. Fear was driving me, but your love, it took the reins. Now it's 4:20 in the morning, and I'm lying awake in my head, reminiscing with the best emotions that I left for dead. blast your way again. I won't blast your way again.
Yeah. I really dig that effect that that pedal you have makes on your voice. Like,
yeah, you know, it's really got like some double, and then it's got like this choir. It kind of just thickens it, you know, like
yeah.
It does all these harmonies and stuff, and I don't use it for that really.
Sure.
And then of course, you know, I got some a little bit of verb and delay and stuff, but like it's funny because like with like multi effects pedals, there's like, wow, you know, this thing has like 500 like I'm not kidding, it's 500 presets, and of course I use one pretty much, you know. I'm like, it's so funny because like I've had you know, all kinds of different effects pedals, and it's like I get like the 5 you know things I want out of it, and then there's like hundreds of things it can do that like will never see the light of day, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think guitarists and vocalists always have like an always on effect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a good thing, though. It's the simplicity. Like, the less that you have to screw around with while you're playing live, the easier it is and the better performance I think that you can really
Well, and I was an acoustic artist. Like, as far as I had an electric guitar, but like I didn't play any electric until like probably about 10 years. Like I mean, I had it and I'd mess around with it, but like as a songwriter, you know, it's like I can take this acoustic and write a song by the river, you know, and like not have to have all of these effects and stuff, you know. And then I got into gear, and of course that was just the rabbit hole of
the downhill
things
spiral.
That my wife are like, "Why do you need this?" And I'm like, "Because I do.
It's important.
Yeah.
I am a musician, and I need it."
Yes.
Yes. She's like, "Okay."
Yeah. Well, she's a horse gal, so between the two of us, we'll be broke our whole lives.
Yeah,
know, like.
yeah. Those are both rabbit holes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you wrote that song in Dylan. Does the lyrical content have to do with the time you spent in Dylan, or totally unrelated?
You know, so like at the time I wrote that, I mean, as far as the lyrics, like it's 4:20 in the morning, laying awake in my head. Like I had just went with a actually it's funny because it's almost like a breakup song. Like I was with this gal for about a year, and it was a mutual, like she wanted to move and I didn't kind of thing.
Sure.
And it was, those are harder to deal with than like being mad at someone, because you can just be like, that, you know, like, and just kind of,
because you still love them, but you don't want to.
Yeah, there's no hard feelings, and like oddly enough, the hard feelings are sometimes like the stepping stone to like getting over them, you know.
Sure.
Like, and so I was just laying in there, and I've always been like a blind optimist, and like I'm laying there and I'm kind of miserable, but also like, you know, well, you know, well, what's next, you know, kind of thing. And so I just kind of it came out pretty quick. Like I wrote that in one sitting. Most of my songs usually I'll try to get them out in one sitting and then maybe go back and, you know, kind of flesh them out. But like it was funny because my roommate got pissed because I wrote it at 4:20 in the morning, and like you know, like he's like, but he got used to it, you know, because it was like as far as writing goes, like, man, I'll be driving down the road, see something, or have like a random thought, and I'm like, I gotta pull over. Like,
write this song.
Having a phone obviously has changed the game, like, so much that like I use Google Docs and I have just like ridiculous, when
the muse hits, you just gotta take the time to do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, you know, writing a song, at least from my perspective, if you don't stop to write it down, it's gone. You know?
Yeah, and I kind of go back and forth with, like, I agree with that. And then there's other times that, like, I can't remember the songwriter I was listening to, but he's like, if you don't remember it, it's not good enough. And
that's
like,
probably valid.
I guess it depends, because I mean, as far as writing, like, I started out writing for nothing more than like a means to an end kind of thing. Like, I bought my guitar a year before my father passed away, and then like when that all hit, like I used music to like as my outlet. Like, so I had all of these emotions and stuff going through my head, and I'm like, how do I get this out? And I'm like, oh, duh. Like, so like when it kind of changed to being something that I just do, it's not like, not saying that like none of my, like, I have written songs just out of boredom before, like just from a like third person or like, not something I was personally going through, but like, I really like getting into the character of like another person, whether it's a character I create or an actual person, and like writing from their perspective with my brain, like it gets trippy, but
sure. You try to put yourself in their shoes, and even though you don't know what they're thinking exactly, you try to imagine it and put it into
and channel it through the music.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
I think that music's such a I mean, it goes without saying that it's such a powerful thing, but like in the last few years, I've really become more purpose-driven, like with my music, essentially. Like I still go play out and do gigs that are like good time, but like where my heart is in it, it's the songs that mean something that like, move someone enough to like, whatever it is, like, but
to feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've written plenty of, happy-go-lucky songs, and then, like, the super sad, like, heavy ones are, like, easy, and people are like, are you just miserable? I'm like, no, man. Like, I'm actually a really happy dude, but, like...
feeling great. Just wrote this really sad song.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Well, I've always looked at, like, emotion as, like, the clay, or the idea, and, like, then you mold it into whatever it is. So, like, you could come into the writing process angry and sculpt something that's beautiful that gives you happiness. Like it kind of can mold it. Like I've always been good at taking emotion and kind of using it and molding it into something different sometimes. Not always, but like.
And it's sort of like a quantum sort of clay, because that like you create something that to you it'll give you this specific feeling, but someone else might look at it like you've molded a swan, and someone else looks at it, no, exactly. I see a rhino out of this, or an eagle, like. I
really love that. I've written songs that were some of my like deepest scars, and people are like super happy and like go lucky listening to it, and I'm like, all right, at first it was kind of weird. It was like, man, this is like something pretty dark, and you're like, but it's funny, like just the psychology of sound and stuff like that. Like, oh well, this song is super sad, so I better put it in a major key, like, and then people will be like, oh, it's cool, like.
Like, do you like writing depressing songs in a major key to kind of off balance that feel?
I never. I guess intentionally have it's just kind of something that I think about, like, retrospective, I guess, but like I've personally, like, now that I think about it, like a lot of times I've never really set out to do that, but then like I've just noticed, like a good example is Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks. That song's like dark, it's about school shooting, and people are like,
all dancing along. And
it's like, this is so catchy. This is the song of the year.
You know? Like, it's like, it's just funny how that works, you know? Like, when I first met my wife, I wrote a lot of, you know, depressing, sad songs, and she like called me out. She's like, "What is your deal?" You know, like.
Sure.
And I'm like, "Well, give me something to write about." And she's like, "All right, I want you to write a song about hope." And I'm like, "Shit." Ooh, all right.
I hope I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then I like sat down and like that started something that was kind of cool. Like, I find more recently, like I try to find ways to like expand how I write, like whether like her being like, write this, because if not, I was probably going to write another super sad, you know, depressing song. So it like goes back to that going out of your comfort zone. And like now she has helped me write, you know, like as far as like came up with ideas like, hey, do this, or and some of them I do, and some of them I'm like, no. You know, like, but the majority of the time, you know, I mean, it turns out she's got some pretty awesome ideas. Like Hope, is I ran out of creativity after I wrote it, so I just called it what it was about.
What it is, yeah.
And I recorded it on my last physical album. I recorded it. I swapped it, kind of just doing it online, and I hate that, to be honest. Like I prefer like a tangible, but it was just, you know, made sense to do it that way.
Sure.
But I had a couple of gals come in and sing like harmonies on this, and like it's almost like borderline gospel in a sense of like, you know, just what I did is I took it and I just gave examples of hope, you know.
Sure.
And then it turned into like, it's one of my you know, the following I do have, like they pretty much expect it every time, you know, like, because they're like, man, you're really depressed. It's like, could you play like something happy, you know?
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah.
It's in the sunrise shadow, a warm embrace, tears of joy streaming down your face, reaching that moment that will never come. Break the walls of doubt, away we run. Oh, we can make it maybe. Oh, but we can't be lazy. Oh, in the promise of tomorrow, there ain't no sorrow that we can't cope if we lean on hope. In the eyes of a bright-eyed kid, he'll love the life he'll live. It's in the sunshine through a stained glass, rising above the sins of your past. Oh, we can make it maybe. Oh, but we can't be lazy. Oh, in the promise of tomorrow, there ain't no sorrow that we can't cope if we lean on hope. If we lean on hope. Reaching that moment that will never come. Break the walls of doubt, away we run. Oh, we could make it maybe. Oh, well, we can't be lazy. Oh, of tomorrow, there ain't no sorrow that we can't cope. if we lean on hope.
Cool.
Awesome.
That was pretty.
Yeah, it's I think with writing, you know, like that was one that I like didn't play out for a long time because it wasn't, you know, it's like too lighthearted or whatever, you know.
Like hard to be in the mood to sing it, kind of a thing with everything going on the last couple years. Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, but then again, the necessity of hope, you know, is there. Like, I mean,
absolutely.
You know, so that's, you know, where a lot of times I like purpose-driven songs. Like another song, I'll do this one. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and this is his dog tag, and this is actually his compass that he used. He was a sniper in Vietnam, and
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so I, you know, utmost respect for veterans and everything else, and I have a good friend that was a Army Ranger, and talking about writing from someone else's perspective. There's a lot of programs for writing with soldiers, you know, and using that as an outlet for post-traumatic stress and everything else. And I love that platform in general. But I reached out, or he actually reached out to me, and I was, you know, honored to do it. But he sent me a post. He's the same age as me. I'm 33, and the whole reason he went into the military was 9/11, right? Because, I mean, we were middle school or whatever it was, and he wanted to, like, protect his family and all this, you know, like, as far as his motives. And he sent me this, you know, post, and he's like, could you make a song out of this? And I'm like, well, I'm going to try, you know. And I sat down, and I just, like, read the first line of his post, or first two, you know, or something, and then made them rhyme. Like, you know, like, I mean, it was almost like a...
You just kind of,
you know, it was like a 10-year recap of his life in this, you know,
time of
something
service.
this big. And the thing that went through his head was his mom said, you know, on that day, she's like, it's pretty crazy out there. You want to stay home? My head's like, okay, that's where we're going to keep going, you know, because, like, he repeated it a bunch in the post, but then, like, it was just, like, a perspective and, like, a, you know, the refrain or whatever, but, like, I got done with it, man, and I sent it to him, and he didn't say anything for, I don't know, like an hour, and I'm like, uh-oh. Like, did I not,
nerves.
You know, like...
Sure. Did I write something that he didn't like, or that wasn't hitting the spot, or
right? And
you know,
then
totally missed the point?
Exactly. I mean, I'm just naturally, I think, as you know, a songwriter and musicians, like, insecurity is just a part of it, you know, because it's such a vulnerability thing anyway. But, like,
right, you're putting yourself out there in a very open way,
and this was huge. Like, I mean, this was, like, as far as opportunity to create something for someone else, like, in a beautiful gift kind of way. I really sunk in deep, you know, like, I mean, it was like, it wasn't like half-hearted or anything else. Like, there was a lot of meaning behind it, so I wanted it to be the best I could possibly do at that time. And then he sent me, you know, just like, oh my God, you know, like, just went off. He's like, this is amazing. He's like, I'm sending this to all of my platoon and all of their mothers, because it is kind of like a mother son kind of relationship that goes through the whole song. And like, his mom reached out to me, of course, his family, and like it kind of just like became so much bigger than anything I'd ever created, you know. And that's like where I kind of started to turn a corner of like, okay, I want to do more purpose-driven stuff, you know, like,
sure.
And it was like, no looking back really since, and it's such a different, approach, but like, it's really fun to,
it's more fulfilling in a way. You're not writing it so much for yourself anymore. You're writing it for others and them, and for them to take it in like that. I mean, even when you were mentioning this, the hypercriticism of the wait in that hour, maybe what was actually going on is he just couldn't stop listening to the song.
Yeah, no, I mean, he openly like wept, you know, and like this is a Army Ranger, you know, that's like,
well,
you know,
we all have feelings, man.
Yeah, no, and that was something really cool.
So powerful.
And it was so cool that so this song is called Home.
Awesome.
Well, I was just a kid when I saw the towers falling. I can still hear my mama calling. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. Now the news was as dark as the smoke in the skies. As we watched, my mama said, this is why. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. But I got this feeling down deep in my soul. Yeah, it's crazy out here, mama, you should stay home. Oh, it's crazy out here, mama, you should stay home. Now I'm taking fire in a box of sand, and my mama's words come back again. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. It's pretty crazy out there, boy, you should stay home. But I got this fire down deep in my soul. Yeah, it's crazy out here, mama, you should stay home. Oh, it's crazy out here, mama, you should stay home. Now it seems like we've forgotten what we never forget. There's a few of us never will, you can bet. It's pretty crazy out here, where the hell is my home? It's pretty crazy out here, where the hell is my home? Oh, I got this fire down deep in my soul. Oh, it's crazy out here, where the hell is my home? Mom, it's crazy out here, where the hell is my home? Well, I was just a kid when I saw the towers falling. I can still hear my mama calling.
Yeah. So that's that.
Wow.
Nice. Powerful.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, what other musicians out there are people that inspire you to make this music, like, that
like
inspired you to get
influences?
started and stuff like that?
And well, you know, it goes like I said, my dad's side of the family. My uncle Joe, he never wrote a song in his life, but man, that guy could sing. I mean, like anything. Like, and he came up in like the 50s, you know, like, so I mean, he'd do some Elvis and like some rockabilly stuff, and like that's another guilty pleasure of mine. Like, I love 50s music, like in general. And so like a lot of 50s music, you know, I dig the simplicity of it. Like they're 2 minutes and 35 seconds, you know, and it's like, what can you get out in that time, you know? And then as far as like local musicians and stuff like that, like I have a lot of friends like Juicebox and Weston and stuff like that. Him and I, you know, I've known Juicebox for years. And but as far as honestly, like when I first started, the main reason I got into it because it was such a family event, you know, like, and but like my favorite like top 5 influences of like famous people, or you know, whatever, like the is like Creedence Clearwater, Bob Seger, Tom Petty, Waylon Jennings, and John Prine.
Oh,
like,
all legends.
You know, like, and it's like, and that's more, but it's so funny because, like, you know, being a vocalist, a guitarist, a songwriter, like, there's obviously, like, songwriting-wise, John Prine. I love Chris Stapleton. I love, you know, a lot of the Texas country guys, like the songs they write, you know, like, and then, like, you know, as far as like the instrumentation and stuff like that, like I love, you know, I'm a huge blues guitarist, like as far as any thing that I do outside of just strumming chords, like if I'm doing some lead, it's blues. So like, you know, I got Stevie and, you know, all of the, like, I love the old Delta blues, you know, stuff like that. And then vocally, like I love, like Ray Charles, you know, like a lot of that soul singing, man, like Wilson Pickett, like, you know, like kind of, I'm kind of a jack of, I just love good music. And
you just bounce around to whatever feels good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely am. I'm more recently, I've really dug into like the outlaw country, you know, like I feel like outlaw country is almost turning into like a, almost like a sellout term, and I don't mean that in like a bad way, but it's like, you know, oh well, I got a leather vest and I got a Telecaster and I got like, you know, like, and they like, it's almost as carbon copy as like, you know, the top 40 stuff, you know, like,
yeah,
and I'm nothing like, I'm not like I appreciate all music and I understand the effort that goes into top 40 hits that I hate, you know, but like,
yeah, I wouldn't consider your music pop music.
No, and I mean, I've written like, you know, poppy kind of stuff more, you know, just to challenge myself, like, and it's like the few, I'm not a pianist, like I can do some really simple stuff, and like I find when I do play piano that it definitely becomes more like a poppy love song kind of thing, and I'm like, I'll never play that, but it was kind of fun to, you know, do it. Like,
good to experiment with.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and I think the more you grow as a musician, the more you can appreciate the effort that goes into music that you don't like, and you can meet like on that level of like, we both are doing it for the love of whatever we get out of it. Right. You know, whether that is whatever it is, but like the reason you're doing it is because you want to do it. Like, so, music's like, I love the universal, you know, it's like the universal aspect of it. Like, I don't think there's anything else that you can relate on a way, like you can be in a crowd at a concert and you're seeing, you know, whoever it is. And if you weren't at that concert, you guys probably never would talk or like, you know, or even know each other, but like then you find this kindredship there, and I think it's more powerful than a lot of other friendships, because it's right down to the you know, the emotion, like if you connect with this band and someone else does, you know that like their core, who they are, like connects with it, you know, kind of thing, I guess. But
that's definitely an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
No, it is interesting. You know, you were talking about the, I don't even know exactly what you'd call it, stereotypes of music, and you know, I kind of play some grunge punk and stuff, and you know, you imagine some guy with a leather jacket and patches and a bunch of tattoos, and here I am wearing regular clothes.
It's about the look, Vince.
Yeah, I'm a poser, I guess. I don't know. but I can relate in that sense that, you know, you say outlaw country, it's like you have a big cowboy hat and you're out there and you're you know, trying to be a outlaw and maybe pistol at your side or something, but
I
mean, I don't think you need the look or the attitude
music is
to make that kind of music.
Well, and I think it goes back to the genre thing of like, the only reason as you can hear, like, as I mentioned, Waylon is like, I think he's the best country artist of all time, like the best singer. He was my mom's favorite, so I kind of grew up with it. But just his approach towards music and you know, one of his quotes was, "There's always one more way to do it, your way." And like that's a thing, but also like, in his autobiography, he talks about genres and stuff, and he's like, that's nothing more than for someone to package and sell it.
Yeah.
The song itself is not. It goes beyond the genre. I classify music more on an emotional basis of like, this is some good time music, you know, and I'll do that. Like, you know, it's something happy-go-lucky, like a drinking song or whatever, you know, like I classify songs more outside of genre than I do anything else. Like, I just don't, and I think the world's really changed in that aspect. Like, when I was a kid, you know, my brothers and I, like, I was such a, like a country kid, you know, like I loved country music, and like, I was like, okay, like, I can't listen to Nazareth, those guys. And then like I listened to Nazareth, and I'm like, yeah, I can. These guys are awesome, you know. Like, and like classic rock, like
don't limit yourself.
So it like went from country to like classic rock, and then my dad showed me blues, and then like it opened up. Like I feel like the more you mature as a musician, that
the less stuck
the less you're like stuck on like the stereotypes, you know, because you realize that like. It's like any other prejudice, essentially. You know, a stereotype, yes, there's a reason there's a stereotype, because those
exist.
Right. But that, to judge someone on that is, you know, just idiotic in my opinion. But,
I would agree. Well, this is the part of the show where we're going to let Erin give her spiel.
Oh, I got it this time. See, right. I got a piece of paper.
Oh, all right. Okay, so we're going to bounce the camera over here real quick.
Whoa. Oh, nice.
Look at that. All right.
Oh, so... please check out our YouTube channel and be sure to like our videos, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay caught up on new episodes of The GU Show, our live streams, and hidden gems. Head on over to theguradio.com for content from the artists on our show, event calendar, and a submission form to get on the show, like right what we're doing right now. Our web store is up and running, so make sure to grab your own Gallatin Underground merch, hats, tees, and hoodies, and more. And we're also offering sponsorships to businesses. If you like what we do and want to support us and have your business represented on the Gallatin Underground, go to www.theguradio.com and click become a sponsor to see our different packages.
Wow, you didn't mess it up that time. That was great.
Yeah, I haven't.
I was so worried about it, but now I just gonna read it off a piece of paper.
Yeah, someday you'll remember it, but
worth it reading than
that's so great. Well, back to you, Will. So, you know, I definitely hear a lot of Waylon, and especially in that last song. You know, the second song you did, Hope. I could really feel like some Tom Petty vibes going in there.
I love Petty, man.
And I mean, I hear a lot of influence in your music, and it definitely seems to like resonate through you, which probably makes it more relatable and more personable to other people as well, even if it's not your intention. But the way that you write songs to me is just pretty awesome. I mean,
thank you.
I've never really been able to just take an idea and play it out into a song per se. I think that takes a special type of person to be able to take any idea and turn it into what you're doing. I mean, I don't think personally I would be able to write a song like the one you last played. I just
I mean, and I think that's something that comes with, you know, right? Like I mean, and I don't mean this in any way other than like just the muscle memory of it. Like, you know, writing was the main reason like I got into music. Like I wanted to create music, and like, so like, to be honest, like I'm self-taught. So like music theory, I'm a guitarist, so obviously I'm horrible at music theory, but like,
amen.
but that in mind, like the foundation of like, you know, playing and like, there was a point that I was a guitarist that sang, you know, like, and now I'm definitely embracing more of like, this is an accompany, like just some noise with my, I still love guitar, don't get me wrong, and I love just jamming on guitar, not singing, but like I learned to play and sing exactly at the same time, and I learned to write play and sing exactly at the same time. So like the progression of it, like writing is the most natural thing I have out of all of the aspects of creativity with music. Like even learning other people's songs, like I'm a renditionalist. Like I've never learned a cover identical to the ever. Like, and I have like 6.5 hours of covers in multiple genres, and like,
damn.
And like I never play it like the original, and it's never out of like lack of respect or anything like that. It's more of like,
how you
this is how I would have done it.
Yeah.
Because you've already heard the original, and I won't ever do it as good as them. You know,
I mean, and
so
you gotta
do
give
it
your own
different,
spin to it.
You know, like, and so with the creativity thing, I think it's a muscle that if you get out of that comfort zone and try it, you know, like I've written. So previous to that song, I had written songs for other people outside of the, you know, myself, and they were horrible. Like, so I mean, that being said, I think it's something that if you do it and then continue to do it, you know, you kind of grow that little piece in there. 'Cause like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have wrote a song like that. You know, like, I mean, and I wouldn't have even like thought about doing it. You know, like I'm like, nah, that's too heavy. You know, like that's I'm not in it for that, man. I'm in it for being a rock star. You know, like I mean, like, you know, look at me, kind of. I mean,
taking the picture from you and putting it into something else is huge. It's really powerful. It is. It's awesome how you do that.
I mean, I think the irony of a gift is that it's supposed to be given, you know, like, so like I feel that I was given the gift of writing music. Like that's what I was created to do, was like to write songs. Like there's nothing else I'm good at. Like I mean, I'm a pretty good pool shot because I bartended for 10 years. Like, so I got pool and writing songs, and you know, that's like, I'm kind of a simple in that lifestyle of like, I mean, I don't really watch a lot of TV. I'm an outdoor guy, you know, but I'm also like 9 out of 10 times, you know, I'm playing guitar a minimum or writing or learning a minimum of, you know, 2 to 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Always, you know, and I mean, obviously not always, but like,
yeah, life kicks into play,
but like,
that's
you know,
your goal, and
that's my it's not only my passion, it's my hobby, it's my you know, there's so many layers to it that like when NAMM happens, my wife just accepts that she won't see me for like 2 weeks because I'm going to watch every gear review of like something I'm never going to buy. You know, I'm like, oh, but they can do this. And so she's like, you play like, you know, country, or like you don't need this crazy, like,
that's so hilarious. I'm dying over here.
I've watched shamelessly hours and hours and hours and hours
of gear reviews.
Yeah, dude. And then I don't even buy it. Like I buy something else. Like, but like,
I can't do that. I get too jealous.
Oh man, and the hunger never ends for me.
It
like
doesn't.
I'm like, this is my favorite guitar I've ever owned, and I've owned, you know,
lots,
a lot. But and a lot of different. You know, like I love tech stuff. Like I had like one of those Variax guitars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the JTV, like US, like custom. It was like a Les Paul, like, and I ran that for years, and it was funny because like, you know, it has like all of these different tunings and all of these, like, you can have, I think it's 28 different guitars modeled or something, you know. And I had the pedal, I had the whole get up, you know, like line 6 to the core, and like, and half of the time when I played out live, I had it on a D28 modeled, and I'm sitting there playing an electric guitar sounding like an acoustic, and like, but when I'm writing, you know, like obviously I'll write like lead parts, and I used to do looping and stuff like that, and then I like kind of just, I use it more as a writing tool and recording tool than like a live performance thing, like, and but yeah, man, gear is my Achilles heel for sure.
That's so funny. I think we can relate.
Yeah. Well, you more than me.
Yeah, man.
I'm simple. I'll just keep it to my current pedal board and nothing ever new because I'm broke.
That's, yeah, I mean, I've just accepted that money is something I had yesterday, you know, like.
I know that feeling.
That's, yeah. but it's something that I like writing. So like other than this guitar, I have a 73 Stella, you know, like the student guitar, like
nice.
And I've written easily 80% of my songs on that guitar. I never played out live, you know, like, but like the way I justify it is I'm like, I'll tell myself, well, you know, like, I mean, this is my songwriting guitar, or this is my live set for like a small gig, but maybe I need, you know, when I get into the bigger venues, I need to have this, you know, so like.
No, I can totally relate. I actually have a Stella little flat top from the 60s, 70s.
I love that scale length, you know, like Lutherie is another passion of mine.
Yep, I got a Art and Lutherie as well. That's my backpacking guitar.
Yeah.
So you said you had a guitar especially for songwriting. Would you say that you're kind of like superstitious about that? Like, I can only really write my best songs on this instrument.
I think as far as what comes out changes, you know, like as far as the textures of sound, and like if I'm picking this up and just going off a riff, it's probably going to be more riff driven, you know, like and but like if I'm on an acoustic, you know, it's going to be mellow, and that's not always, but like you know, songs start in so many different ways. Like it could be, oh, here's an idea I had, or here's a title, or here's something someone said, or a riff, and I find, if anything, like if it's more musically driven, which I don't write much more anymore, just because I've really embraced my lyricism more than I'll never be the next virtuoso guitar, right? Like, and I find joy in learning new techniques on guitar, and I played lead guitar in my band for a long time and can do what I do, but like the more I move in creativity and the more I mature, I find that putting your best foot forward, and also the fulfillment that you get out of putting your best foot forward, not setting myself up for failure. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to modulate here, you know, like, and do a time signature change. Like, we did that with the band, and it was a lot of fun. And, like, as a group, it's super cool.
Sure.
But when some dude's up here with just a guitar and him, and it's like, it's still super cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's people that can pull it off, but
it just doesn't have that dynamic flow.
Yeah. It's not my wheelhouse, I guess, you know.
Absolutely. No, I can totally relate to that as well. Well, let's hear it back to back if you want to do two in a row for us, and then we'll do some thank yous and goodbyes and maybe another song and start to wrap the show up.
Sweet, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate this. So this song here, the first one, is my favorite song I've ever written. Wrote it for my stepfather. It's called Oaks.
Ooh. Might want to tune that real quick.
That don't sound good.
That's okay. We can wait.
Tuning. And that is $1 million a guitar that stays in tune. That was something I learned the hard way with that Variax. So like if your guitar's out of tune and you do an alternate tuning, your alternate tuning is out of tune the exact same. Here we go. This is called Oaks.
Heaven knows a few there Taught me work hard, talking worth a dime. 15 minutes early is on time. You always remember what you leave behind. Happiness is a state of mind. And when you love a country mile wide, remember that scars are nothing to hide. Trust the ghost with your soul. Water your garden and watch it grow. Cast your cares and give control. Follow your dreams and not the goal. This next one is called a Back Time. That's kind of just the way I look at things, I suppose. Granddaddy used to talk about the good old days. Back when winters were colder and it was uphill both ways. And a man's word was what he was worth. So you better watch what you say. And you work all day for a $5 bill, 'cause a beer only costs a dime. Back before what's mine is yours turned into what yours is mine. And you mind your own business, so you didn't have the time. Back in time. Oh, back in time. Said the days were longer and the work was harder, and you reap just what you sow. You best not give your opinion on someone you didn't know. Love wasn't something that you'd say, it was something that you'd show. And you work all day for a $5 bill, 'cause a beer only costs a dime. Back before what's mine is yours turned into what yours is mine. And you mind your own business, but you didn't have the time. Back in time. Oh, back in time. And I wish I could have lived in those days. It was a simpler time, a simpler way. We work all day for a $5 bill, 'cause a beer only costs a dime. Back before what's mine is yours turned into what yours is mine. And you mind your own business, but you didn't have the time. Back in time. Oh, back in time.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, it's so great having you here today, Will. Is really, really a treat for us.
I appreciate it, guys. I had a lot of fun. I started as far as like thank yous and stuff. I had a band manager that ended up partnering with me and everything, John Walker, and I mean everything that I do up to the professional level and everything else, like he kind of taught me, and like and then of course my parents and siblings for having to listen to me learn. And my wife, who has just allowed me to be unrealistic at times, you know, with music and stuff, and like, you know, she's a saint, man. But yeah, and then like as far as like online plug, I have a Willy James Gang with a .com, and that's with a Y, and like also everything, all of my tags are Willy James Gang, as far as my social media stuff too.
Cool.
I try to be good at that, but I'm not into it enough. To be honest, like I use Facebook, Instagram and stuff, but I like TikTok and stuff I haven't got on, and like just
it's an endless world.
Yeah, man. I just
so
don't.
There's always something new too.
Yeah, right.
Right. Which one's next? And you're like,
No, hopefully TikTok doesn't last too much longer.
Oh man, like, and also I just don't think I'm interesting enough. Like, you know, like I don't. I guess when I look at content and stuff, it's like I live a pretty boring life outside of like when I play live. Like I'm like, oh, you know, you want to watch this video about this guitar that I'm not gonna buy? You know, like I mean, it's like I just don't.
Or check it out, I'm getting into my car and driving.
Social media is such a weird thing to me, and I mean, I'm in it as much as anyone else, not as much as everyone though. Like I guess, you know, but it's just the world we live in now.
I know.
Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like I've actually been turned down from venues when I did a West Coast tour, and there was like a couple of places they're like, man, we really love your music, but you don't have enough followers. And it's like, so you love the product I'm gonna give you, but not enough people have recognized that. But the only way that I get exposure is playing, you know, like, so it's like this double-edged sword that it's like.
Oh, I know.
Well, I guess I'll give, you know, Facebook some ad revenue so that I can get some likes, because, like, I'm not good at, like, especially when I'm playing live. Like, hey, like
follow me on
you know,
social media. Yeah.
It's not.
Speaking of that, guys, make sure you guys follow us on social media so we can get those likes and get revenue.
Yes, we need all the way. We accept payment and likes.
Yeah. Give us all your money. We love it.
That too.
And we'll keep supporting artists, which you love.
Yeah, man. This is awesome. I love the platform. I love the I prefer this kind of you know, like showcase kind of thing and like interaction. Like I eat that stuff up, you know. So. That's
awesome. Thank you. We really love it ourselves. I mean, from the start of Aaron's idea to where we are today, it
was my idea, no biggie.
It's been an awesome journey, and we hope we can continue on as long as we can. So
yeah, there's nothing been more rewarding than this.
If it breeds into like a festival kind of thing, let me know. I'd love to be a part of that or something. You know, like if you do like a
GU Fest.
Weekends, yeah, dude, like some kind of.
We're talking about something toward the end of the year to try to put together like a season finale shebang or something. Maybe
that'd be cool.
December.
You know.
We'll definitely let you know. So
that'd be great. I'm moving to Kentucky, but I come back a lot.
Also, if you guys are artist or musician or just a fan member of us and you love what we're doing, we are trying to keep the lights on in this place, and it takes a lot of money to do what we do, and we don't have any. So if you can give us anything you can through our GoFundMe, it's on our site, theguradio.com. We would greatly appreciate that. And if not, just watch us and subscribe us, and we'll see who's next. So
and share.
Yeah, share it. Yep, we love all of our artists. So awesome. Well, let's hear one more song, and we'll call that a show.
All right, sweet. Let's see. Which one do I want to do? I decided between two. One is
just play them both.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, sweet. So I got drunk once for about 10 years and wrote a lot of songs. And I wrote this about 2:30 in the morning with two people that had, well, the one guy had written songs, but the gal that was with us had never written a song or anything. And of course, we're all really sober. And
I can imagine.
And I was like, let's write a song with nothing but song titles and tell a story.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're like, all right, oh yeah. And what turned out was like, this is another one that, like, you know, people request when I play, like anyone that's heard me play. And I had recorded it on my band album that we didn't release online. So I, like, only have hard copies. And I think I'm going to re-record it because, like, you know, it was like 7 years ago. And it just didn't, you know, how it is when you listen to something you did 7 years ago. You're like, man, why did I record that? You know? But anyway, this is called, once again, I ran out of creativity after writing it, so I just called it the song titled song. I do that a lot.
That's awesome. I like that.
All right.
Well, I was going down the highway to hell with my brown-eyed girl, and we were running down a dream. When out of nowhere came Mr. Bojangles. He asked if I wanted to burn one down. So we went to the house of the rising sun, and we got one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer. And as we stood at the stairway to heaven, I realized I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. And they call me the Midnight Rider. I will sail away all through sweet home Alabama to sit at the dock of the bay. Well, we did some cocaine in a white room after midnight. That's when we realized the kids are not alright. You know, girls just want to have fun, respect. And they call me the Midnight Rider. I will sail away all through sweet home Alabama to sit at the dock of the bay. Well, I woke up Sunday morning coming down and Tuesday's gone. Apparently every day in between. My wife, she told me to hit the road, Jack, but you know me, I won't back down. I'll just smoke 2 joints with a king without a crown and write a redemption song. They call me the Midnight Rider on through Santa Fe. Whoops. They call me the Midnight Rider. I'll sail away all through sweet home Alabama to sit at the dock of the bay. And they call me the Midnight Rider. I will sail away all through sweet home Alabama to sit at the dock of the bay. Yeah, it was fun. And then this one here is the newest song I've finished, and I just, as you write songs, the newest one seems to be the best. Not always, but this is a little more. This is called Younger Men.
All right, guys, this is Willie James, and you are watching the Gallatin Underground Show. If you are an artist who'd like to get on our show, just visit our website, www.theguradio.com, and click on the menu, find yourself the artist submission form, fill it out, and we'll love to get you on our show. Until then, know your scene. Thank you. Good night.